Time for the international papers. Elena's with us here on set. You're starting off with Silvio Berlusconi. They're full of them, aren't they, really, the international papers?
Yesterday, remember, I started this programme with the headline, "I'm not going anywhere." Now, of course, it's more like Arrivederci because he's going somewhere now. Let's have a look at the front page of The Guardian. It was the euro that finally got him as a headline. Of course, they say that the crisis has done something that endless amounts of sexual and financial scandals, allegations of corruption and using underage prostitutes could not. It's ended Silvio Berlusconi's 17-year political career. They say, actually, on the streets of Italy, people don't quite know what to do. There's such worry and fear about the possible economic consequences of this catastrophe that even the people who are desperate for Berlusconi to go aren't really celebrating because they just don't know what's coming next. If we have a look inside the paper, we can see just what happened yesterday. He's sitting inside Parliament there alongside Umberto Bossi, the far-right Lega Nord leader, who actually refused to vote in his favour. He was one of those people who he called traitors, Berlusconi called traitors, who didn't come out and vote for him yesterday. So it's over, it seems.
And it's not just sad news for him and his supporters, also for cartoonists, because they have been having a field day, haven't they?
Yeah, I think satirists must be some of the saddest people today. He's given them plenty of material, hasn't he, over the years? The left-leaning papers enjoying a little bit of schadenfreude, I think, in that Guardian. They've got a cartoon, if we have a look, showing Berlusconi being flushed down a toilet. And over at The Independent, they've got him in bed with two bikini-clad fishes, saying, "Rumours that I sleep with the fishes have been greatly exaggerated." The joke being, of course, that rumours of Berlusconi's political death are no longer exaggerated, it seems.
Fantastic. So what about the Italian papers? How are they treating it?
Well, yesterday it was the ever-loyal Il Giornale, who's owned, of course, by his brother Paolo, which was saying he wasn't going anywhere. Now they say on their front page that he's finally stepped down patriotically for the good of the country. On the front page there, they've got those 8 centre-right parliamentarians who deserted Berlusconi, and they would say deserted the country yesterday by deciding not to vote in his favour. Over at La Repubblica, they are, as you might imagine, slightly more pleased. But as I was saying earlier, not necessarily ecstatic, because they just don't know what's coming next. They've got a good analysis of what might come next. Is it going to be a technocratic government made up of non-politicians? Is it going to be more of the centre-right same? Or is it going to be a general election, which is what Berlusconi himself wants? They even suggest in La Repubblica he might attempt to get himself re-elected if there's a general election.
And what about Italy's other big anti-Berlusconi paper? I gather they're kind of looking at how it's all gone down with the social networks.
Yes, sic transit gloria mundi, thus passes the glory of the world. It's a quote from the Pope's coronation ceremony, but Berlusconi used it himself to describe the death of Gaddafi, and it became one of the world's biggest trending terms on Twitter yesterday, celebrating the downfall of Berlusconi himself, reports Corriere della Sera. So lots of people on Twitter not sad to see him go.
OK, that's Italy. What about Greece? How are the papers there reacting to the latest turmoil over there?
That's enough. That's the headline at the newspaper Demokratia. They say, with all of these squabbling negotiations now going on for days between different possible candidates to be Greece's next prime minister, they've had enough. They just need those politicians to bang their heads together and come up with some kind of technocratic government that can carry on, impose some economic governance and get Greece out of this chaos. The left-leaning paper Eleftherio Typar has a similar point of view. Their headline is Mr. X for prime minister, because they just don't know what's happening and they're sick of this chaos.
OK, we've had the chaos, we've had the confusion. Let's do something else now. The Michael Jackson trial. Papers are talking about that, aren't they?
Yes, a lot more than one person killed the King of Pop is a headline over at The Independent. They say, we can't just blame the doctor. It's a whole celebrity culture that allowed doctors to prescribe drugs to famous people that they wouldn't to others. It's perhaps the way that Jackson was brought up, his family, how he was exposed to such fame at such an early age, and the way that no one really felt they had the ability to tell him that perhaps he shouldn't be living in a fantasy world named after a children's book character. They say perhaps there's a story that we should be learning something from this for future celebrities, that we just can't let them do anything they like because fame can be so destructive.
That's Elena's dip through the international papers. She's here every day, of course, going through the French papers and the international papers. So stay tuned for more from her over the next few days.